Good evening, everybody. Bobby Python here, and we are on day 51, just like that. So, let me just copy a quick little link here. How's everybody doing? Hi, Rhonda. Hi, Jim. Hi, Caroline. Hey, Jules, Donna. Good to see everybody. And so, I'm going to kind of talk about a couple things that have been weighing on me, not like in a bad way, just more curiosity than anything else. I didn't really understand, understand them as well as I would like. So I decided to look them up, and I'll kind of start the conversation with those things today. And hopefully, if it's been on anybody else's mind, we can kind of address it, which would be great. So let me get started here in 1 second. Going live now, and wait 1 second, copy, and I'll just post it here in 1 second. So who else is here? Mason, TF, hey Dallas, wonderful to see you guys and gals. And what's up? Okay, so take a week. What am I doing? I'm going to take a week off, America First. I can't do that when I have 314 more days of you guys chiming in every day. If you're going to join me each day, that's how many more days we have. We have another 314 more hours. So 40 hours in a week. We've got at least another almost 2 months together. It's kind of funny when you say it that way. We might have another 2 months of going over this stuff. So it's literally turning into a part-time job for all of us. So anyways, I do think it's very fascinating. Once again, the Lord works in mysterious ways, because I would have never anticipated so many people signing in and sharing this experience together and so forth. I think it's a wonderful thing, and thank you all for doing that. So, all right, so let's go on to Leviticus 9. Okay, so here we go. Once again, there's sin offerings, there's burnt offerings, and they kind of go through with regards to Aaron and slaughtering the calf, and then slaughtering, I think there was a sheep or a goat, and then they did the grain offering. Same thing. So we kind of see, we see this story repeat itself quite a bit. I like Dallas. We'll be sending each other birthday cards by day 200. Probably isn't a bad idea. So we'll do that. But going back to these different types of offerings and so forth, and really, better understanding them. I know I should have probably done this sooner. Sometimes the obvious is overlooked, and so I decided to just kind of pull up and I think once everything opens up in the economy, I think it'd be wonderful to set up some kind of like road trip. We'll kind of what we'll do is we'll run a mathematical formula. We'll look at everybody's address, what city and state they're from, and then we'll look at the point that is the shortest distance for the maximum number of people, and then we all just have to go there, so then nobody can complain. If we just ran an optimizer, we're like, you know what? Someone's in California, someone's in Louisiana, someone's in Massachusetts. We're going to go, what's the shortest distance traveled by everybody who wants to go? And then we find it on the map, and that's where we go. And anyways, we'll show the map, and then nobody can spike it though, folks. We can't get somebody in from Alaska that's going to try to throw off our results on the continental U.S. We got to just focus on the continental U.S. only, for what it's worth. Anyways, so let me go to these 5 types of offerings. Okay, no masks allowed. No, none of that. None of these diapers. They call them facial diapers or whatever. None of us are getting out of this life alive. So That's the way I look at it. Okay, so let's go to the 5 types of offerings in the Old Testament, and I kind of want to go through these quickly, and so just so that we're all on the same page, and that some of these we kind of have maybe danced around a little bit, but really, I really want to kind of cover them from the standpoint of some of these other more thorough, let me see, more thorough definitions of it. So like a sin offering, the 4th offering, or sin offering, this is sometimes seen as an offering of atonement for unintentional sin. Similarly, is viewed as guilt offering, removing the consequences for lack of perfection. So it contained elements of the burnt offering. Okay, see, I'm not a big fan when people kind of write these definitions with a bunch of other words and other types of definitions in the definitions. So let's kind of take it, let's unpack it. What is a sin offering? This is meant for atonement for unintentional sin. So what does that mean? What does it mean, unintentional sin? And so, a sin offering is I guess you can say that Jesus died for our sins. That's a sin offering. It's because we were flawed. We were flawed just from being born, and Jesus died to take away the sins of being flawed in a sense. But it was nothing that we did that created this flaw. We were just born with flaws. So that's a sin offering. That's what I'm saying. It's like it's an unintentional thing. We didn't do anything wrong. We just kind of showed up. We were born into this world and so forth. And so, the next thing, and the next thing I want to talk about is this concept of the burnt offering. So, the burnt offering is a general atonement of sin, an expression of devotion to God. So once again, these are a willingness to, it's done. It's like you can't talk about this stuff too fast. Okay, you have the sin offering, and then you have the burnt offering. The burnt offering is not a requirement. It's a way of in a sense, offering something for almost serving as almost like a reminder for a reminder or an acknowledgement of I'm like butchering this, folks. Pardon the pun, but I'm kind of like butchering. Feel like I'm butchering a goat right now, and I'm making a big mess. And so, if somebody has a cleaner way of explaining it, please do, because right now, for a sin offering, I feel it's kind of funny. This feels like on who's on first, what's on second. Hold on one second. I know I found a really good definition because it's been kind of grinding on me a little bit, folks. And so, hold on one second. Okay. Okay, a burnt offering was food for God and thanksgiving for God's continued blessing. So that's it. With regards to a burnt offering, it was an acknowledgement, and in a sense, a burnt offering was more of a sign of gratitude. So if you do a burnt offering, you're just saying, thank you, Lord, for all the good that we have. This is why offering up some of the most important animals in the flock offering grain, with oil for people that didn't have the same means of offering up animals. This is a way of just saying thank you, and so that's what a burnt offering is. Okay, so we got the sin offering, we have the burnt offering, and then the grain offering is kind of in there. So then let's talk about a guilt offering. So guilt, um, it is when you know you did something wrong. So you know you broke one of God's rules, and that you're trying to ask for forgiveness for breaking the rule. So let's do this again. A sin offering is going to be things that we had nothing to do with. We were just born with sin, right? And then Jesus Christ died to take away our sins, take away the sins of the world. Then there's a burnt offering. We're basically saying, Lord, thank you for everything that you're doing, and for providing us with the resources that we need to live a wonderful life, for being there for us. And we're just going to commemorate all the things that you do to make us who we are. And so thank you for all your guidance and patience and love and understanding and forgiveness. Okay, that's a burnt offering. So then we go into what is a guilt offering. A guilty, think of it as like the court system, folks. You're guilty. You did something you're not supposed to do, and you're basically begging, asking, whatever you want to say it, however you want to phrase it. You're asking the Lord to give you forgiveness, because as we see in Leviticus 10, right after we just talked about these three offerings, Aaron's sons, Nadab and Abihu, they put coals on the fire in their incense burners and sprinkled incense over them. This way they disobeyed the Lord, and burning for him the wrong kind of fire. And, the Lord wasn't too happy, folks. The Lord took out these two individuals, and obviously Aaron was in high standing with the Lord, and he was considered holy. And it didn't matter that these were two of his children, because God just literally burned them up. And so you ask yourself a question, what kind of example is this setting that the Lord would burn up the sons of Aaron and so forth? And I guess when you think about why that would happen, I guess you can say that extreme. Why did the Lord do something to such an extreme level? And it's really obvious to me. It's because and maybe you guys feel the same way. When I kind of read that, it's like, don't piss off the Lord. if you know, you were born into privilege. Okay, Aaron was chosen by the Lord to be in a very high standing within society. Aaron had a responsibility to make sure that his children were raised to understand their responsibility. When the two of his children act like spoiled little snots, and do what they want to do and disobey the Lord, the Lord's like, no problem, see ya, and then burns them straight up. And everybody in the community knew about this. There's nothing that Aaron could do about it. Moses even says, this is what the Lord meant when he said, I will display my holiness through those who come near me. I will display my glory before the people. And so, Aaron was in a position to display his holiness through Aaron. And the fact that two of his children did not want to live up to the task, they kind of crossed that line, right? It's kind of like I think we've seen this in society. We see this in different, different facets of our society. There's certain things you're just not supposed to do and think you're going to get away with it, or you're not going to ask for forgiveness when it's insincere. So in this case, they had no excuse that what they did. They should have known better, and they knew what the protocol was, and they did it anyways. So this is an example where asking for forgiveness from being guilty doesn't really apply when you did it in spite. And so that's my takeaway as to why you know, why they were burned right before Aaron and so forth. Then Aaron asked Moses, "Today my sons presented both their sin offering and their burnt offering to the Lord, and yet this tragedy has happened to me. If I had eaten the people's sin offering on such a tragic day as this, would the Lord have been pleased?" And when Moses heard this, he was satisfied. And, it was a rhetorical question, but basically, you know, if I had eaten the people's sin offering on such a tragic day, would the Lord be pleased? I think the short answer is yes, the Lord would be pleased, because Aaron, if he, at some point, his children were adults and they had their own life, and they knew that, at this point, you would think they would be of age, that there is no excuse that they did such a thing. That if Aaron taught them, this kind of goes back to think about us in our society. When you have children and your children grow up and they're of age to be on their own, and some of them commit crimes, folks. I mean, it's unfortunate, but it's true. So somebody did a good job. They love their child. They did all these things, all these things to show them that they love them. And then their child went into the world and maybe got involved with the wrong group of people, did some of the wrong things. And then next thing you know, they commit some crimes and they cross the border, or they cross the line in our society. And what happens? They have to face the consequences. So they have to face the consequences of our society. If they committed a crime, whether it be they murdered somebody or they robbed somebody, they have to, and so forth. There you go. Maria's right. The child sinned by their own choices. So the crime, so the time. So Aaron didn't do anything wrong. And so in the way I would answer it, the Lord would be pleased if Aaron acknowledged that he did nothing wrong and still offered the people's sin offerings on such a tragic day, because while it was tragic, it had nothing to do with what Aaron did. Aaron probably did a great job of teaching his children, but for one way or another, they decided to take a path that resulted in them not being able to carry on. And so I think that's the key part of this lesson, and is that, I think a lot of parents, beat themselves up over their children when they're older. Some of it is probably warranted, and what I mean by that is, if parents don't want to teach their child how to be independent, and they force them to be dependent on them, and then that child goes into the world and is lost, they should be slightly disappointed in the outcome, and they should try to correct it somehow. Sometimes it can be corrected by paying attention more than they did when they were younger. Their children were younger. Some of it could be therapy, I guess. That's one way that you can correct some of these shortcomings. Some of it just might be that the parents needed some therapy too. And, people need to know the difference. Where are you on the spectrum? And so, anyways, I think that in this case, in the world that we live in now, with information so much more freely available versus back then, wisdom used to reside just in a handful of people in society. And even up to, 30, 40 years ago, in this society that we live in right now, you'd go to the library, you'd pull up stuff. I remember, no joke, and I think you guys, some of you are, you're up there with me in age. But remember, you go to the library and you want to look something up, and you'd go, this is just water. This is a big jug of water here. But that would be a hell of a lot of vodka here, Maria. And it is a Monday. So we have to pace ourselves. But I'm just trying to stay hydrated. Anyways, but with regards to 10 years, I would say 25 years ago, 20, yeah. So probably maybe even longer. 25, 30 years ago, I'd go to the library, and the deal is, you know, you get stuff on microfiche. Remember that? Remember that word, microfiche? You'd go into the little Dewey Decimal System cards, and you'd be like looking for something, and then they would give you these little black like film sheets, and then you'd go up to the little container and you put the light on. You know, you see the little you see an article from like 30 years ago, or you'd see some other data and so forth, and you know, that's a pain in the ass, you know, to go through and try to learn knowledge and information about things in this very convoluted way. Now, the nice thing is about this back then, it was probably less corrupted. Some of this information on microfiche and everything else, it was probably higher quality information than some of what we face today. And so I think it's important that you know, in a world that we have an overabundance of information, overabundance, you know, in data and so forth, that you know, we figure out where are the best places of source material, and where do we get the data in the purest form, and then try to learn different frameworks for how to interpret that data. I think that's a skill and that's an art that unfortunately is not being taught as much as I think it used to. I do remember grammar school where there was a tremendous amount of effort, at least in the school that I went to, and I think it's changed, folks. And just going off of my own children, you know, where I see the way the schools are treating them versus the way I was treated at a similar type of age. You know, I guess 30 years ago, you know, we took a lot of effort to cite sources, you know, writing bibliographies, understanding, you know, you read something and then you read something somewhere else and there's a disconnect or there's two opposing views, and then you're asked to research why those two views are so divergent. You know, all that type of stuff. I remember that in grammar school. Like, we used to do that in fourth and fifth grade, right? Sixth grade. Like, nowadays, they don't do any of this stuff. You know, you ask them about this, they look at you like you have two heads. You know, that they don't feel the need to confirm or fact check what they're reading as a child. And I think part of what we're living through in our society with regards to the corrupt mainstream media, with the corrupt oligarchs and tech and everything, is we're living through this, and we're suffering by not being as sure, not knowing who to trust, you know, what we should do next, because those processes have broken down. And you know, I talked to one of my friends yesterday. He came over for dinner, and you know, it was another friend's birthday. So, you know, they're a couple. So this couple comes over. They're both friends, and we're kind of talking about this a little bit, and so forth. And he made a comment to me. He goes, you know, I think. Is Chad, how many, is he a year older or younger than me? A year? 1 or 2 years? I think he's maybe 2 years younger than me. And he says, you know, he's been in sales, you know, in business development his whole life. And he says, you know, Bobby, he goes, I've been around a lot of people in my life. And he goes, you're the most honest person that I've ever met, that I just can't catch you saying something that isn't true, like consciously. Like, you know, if you make a mistake, you'll correct it. And, you know, he finds it fascinating. And I'm like, well, I don't know why it's fascinating, you know, from my perspective, because, you know, I try to get to the truth before I make decisions, you know, when I do things for my career. And so if I can't kind of fudge it, you know, you got to do the research, and you got to find what is the closest approximation of reality, because, you know, money's on the line. You lose money if you make a mistake. And so, you know, I think it's just we can, you know, we can cultivate that again in terms of through our educational system and by the decisions that we make. We need to penalize people more when they do lie to us. And the way you penalize them is, you put them in the penalty box for a little bit. Maybe you don't talk to them for a while, and you have to tell them. You say, I don't appreciate this. You misled me. You kind of lied to me or something, and I'm going to need a little bit of a break from talking to you for a while. And kind of in some, I guess some millennials would just ghost you. if you I'm just saying, I'm just joking around. Anybody who's dealt with a millennial knows what the hell I'm talking about. These people just kind of disappear and then they reappear out of nowhere, like that Snapchat or something. Anyways, but I'm bringing this up because with regards to these different types of offerings, trying to do the right thing, following the righteous path that the Lord puts in front of us, we all need to practice it. It's not just cute to say. You have to try to structure and live your life that way. And I think that if more of us do that, even if it doesn't feel like it's making a difference, it makes a huge difference, because the entire circle of influence that each of us has, if we have anywhere from, I don't know, immediate circle might be 30 to 50 people. And then you kind of spread out from there. It could be 100 to 500 people. And then those people all have another 100 to 500 people. So, one degree of separation, 2 degrees of separation. If 200 people and each of those people have some overlap, but let's just say that only, 3 or 4 of those people have overlap with each other. So now all of a sudden you're talking 60, 70 relationships per 200. Just like that, you're at 12,000 people, folks. It explodes. Where if you just look at your own little circle of who you're around for your family, your friends, your immediate family, your work associates, it kind of spreads out very, very quickly. And so the more you can help raise the bar, so to speak, of what we all expect from each other, the better and safer the world will be. Because we're living in some very damning, I say damning, I don't say that word lightly, but it does feel like, we're living in damning times. I don't want to get into too many specifics, but this whole border thing in Mexico, I do talk to some people and that are involved in different facets of government and so forth. And, I was extremely concerned with what's happening, like what happened in Europe with regards to Turkey. A lot of young men were fleeing the Middle East, and that was a good way to sneak in a military force into Europe. And it's extremely dangerous. And I said, then the Europeans are actually paying for a foreign military force on their soil that doesn't respect their law, doesn't, kind of looks down at women, thinks that they can rape women and so forth with no repercussions, because it's in the name of their so-called religion and stuff. And you sit there and you think about this insanity that this happened. It happened in Europe. But now when you look at the United States, folks, right on our border, there's literally thousands of unaccompanied children that are coming to the United States. They're coming up to the border, 13 to 17-year-old boys, outnumbering the girls probably 7, 8 to 1. So there's at least 7 to 8 as many boys as there are young girls. There's no parents. It's literally just boys. These are not Mexican boys, folks. A lot of people think they're coming from Mexico and they're trying to sneak in here. They're not. These kids are coming from Honduras. They're coming from other parts of Central America. And for those of you who don't know much about Honduras, and the only reason why I know about it is because I've read about Honduras in the past. And all I could tell you is, the Honduras, probably 10 to 20% of the population is in the gang. It's like MS-13. And so you have children that are coming up here, 13 to 17 years old. Yeah, El Salvador too. So El Salvador might be worse, Henry, than Honduras. But I've heard Honduras is up there as well. But these kids are coming up here, and then they weaponize this whole process, because it's like, hey, we got to help these kids. But then little do they know their parents sold these kids. Their parents literally sold these children off. They sold them off to various factions of gangs, and then they're going to try to bring these kids into this country that are broken spirits. Like these are kids. I don't know if they're permanently lost, folks. I have no idea. But if they go back, they might get killed. If they stay here, they might do some killing. I don't know which one it's going to be. But all I could tell you is we got a serious problem on our hands, because these kids, they're going to come into these cities, and I've heard that they're trying to relocate them to different types of stadiums and cities, like the battleground states. They're sending them to Arizona, they're sending them to Pennsylvania, they're sending them to Georgia. You think that's a coincidence? I'm very concerned about it, and I'm frankly concerned about it for my own personal damn safety, because these little sons of bitches, and that's what I'm going to call them. Sorry, you know what? If they're part of the gang, my wife said, you can't say that, Bobby. It's like, you know what? If these kids are broken spirits, and I'm sorry, I'm a little concerned about it. Why is that? I'm not going to apologize for this. If these kids come into this country and they're broken, and they've been sold, and they've been beat up, and they've been abused their entire existence, and then they've been raped along the way by other men. So these boys are being raped by other men, and then they come here, and they're told that they're supposed to go kill somebody. What do you think they're going to do, folks? This is a serious problem, and so I don't know what the hell. I don't know what it's going to take, folks. I don't know what it's going to take for the American people to wake up and realize this is a different kind of war. They have declared war on the people of the United States. These gangs, these thugs, these organizations have declared war on America, and we don't have the proper leadership to address this. And it's scary from the standpoint that you cannot let this. You cannot let this happen. I don't know what we're going to do to stop it, folks, but there's got to be something, and I don't know what that something is, but something's got to happen. I don't know if we send them all to Gitmo or something as temporary housing, or we can. I don't know where you send them. I really don't, because then if you send them somewhere and you say they got to stay there and they got to be rehabilitated, what the hell? What the hell is going to happen then? Like you're going to have to let them out at some point, and we've seen this, folks. All you need to do is look at Minneapolis. Okay, Minneapolis had 5% of its population. Basically, 25,000 people came in from war-torn Somalia. Okay, 5%. It takes 2 to 3% of a population to change a city permanently. Trader Benedict Barry, okay, that guy brought in 25,000 people that hate this country, and he brought them on the U.S. soil in Minneapolis, which was this liberal, do-good little city, where we gotta just do whatever it is that we need to do to expunge our guilt. They were offering their guilt offering. Okay, this is their little guilt offering that they gave, and they let a group of people come into the country that wrecked it. They wrecked their city. They burned it down, and this is what we're up against. And so I'm not exactly sure what it's going to what it's going to take for people to be outraged. It's going to take something, and I don't know, we're not at that breaking point yet, but it all ties into this. I'm sitting there and I think about these offerings. I think about the border. I think about not obeying, our God, and what we should be doing on behalf of our children, on behalf of our grandchildren. That we outnumber these politicians 47,000 to 1, and we just let them run roughshod over this stuff. That there's no consequences for them. We should be calling for the resignation of all these people. We should be calling for the resignation of all the politicians that are allowing this to happen in each of the damn states. You say, you know what? You get them. You get 'em- you. I don't give a shit. Send the Air Force in there. I would send in the Air Force, and I would get cargo planes, and I would load all these kids up, and I would ship them right back to their country of origin. I'd be like, get the hell out of here. And you know what? I'll give you 3 months worth of food, just to say good luck on relocating back to where the hell you are. And as far as Mexico is concerned, I would shut the entire border down, and I'd say, you know what, Mexico, you guys screwed up. We're not doing any trade with you for a freaking year. 1 year, no trade, suck it up. And then, you know what? And by the way, any Mexicans in the United States that are sending money to Mexico, we're cutting that off for a year too. You guys better never do this shit again. And anyways, that's what I would do. I would make them feel so much economic pain that they would never ever tempt this shit again on our soil. Sorry, my wife is getting a little upset. I need to calm down. Okay. Let me just get some water. That's all right. Okay. Anyways, I feel bad for the border states. That's all I can tell you. I was living in Texas, New Mexico, Arizona. I would be very concerned. And as far as I'm concerned, it's getting to the point. We have the weapons, folks, that are not deadly. We have weapons that can literally, we have sound weapons that people don't know about. You can have a sound that's so piercing that you don't get hurt, but you run the opposite direction. You're like, I'm out of here. The sound is so bad that you do not want to be anywhere near it. Okay. We have heat weapons. We can literally make people go to 130 degrees, folks, not to where you kill them and you cook them, but we have weapons in our military where you can literally blast people with heat waves. And I've researched a lot of stuff, folks. We have the tools that we need to stop this madness. What we lack right now is the leadership and the will to deploy the damn tools to stop this madness and bring to justice every single last son of a bitch who did this to us. Every single one of them. And no exceptions. You got to get them all. Onward and upward. Just preheat them. Anyways, let's go to Mark number 4. Sorry, I got to change this up. What are you shaking your head at me? Like I'm the one that did this? Like somehow I'm the bad guy, folks. I'm the bad guy because I'm pointing this out. Okay. She's upset about the volume. So Bobby, step away from the weapons. That's funny. I like that. Celicia, step away from the weapons, Bobby. Get those triggers off of Bobby's fingers there. Anyways, let's go to Mark 4. Okay. Jesus also said, the kingdom of God is like a farmer who scatters seed on the ground. Night and day, while he's asleep and awake, the seed sprouts and grows. But he does not understand how it happens. The earth produces the crops on its own. First the leaf blade pushes through, then heads of wheat are formed, and finally the grain ripens. And as soon as the grain is ready, the farmer comes and harvests it with the sickle, for the harvest time has come. Okay. Jesus said, how can I describe the kingdom of God? What story should I use to illustrate it? This is the infamous mustard seed. Planted in the ground, it's the smallest of all seeds, but it becomes the largest of all garden plants. It grows long branches and birds can make nests in its shade. So Jesus would use a lot of these stories and so forth. And, there's a lot of power in parables because there's a lot of things that are extremely complicated to get across and to explain to people. And people seem to relate to stories a little more. I think that's something, once again, with the attention deficit, that disorder that our society has been cultivating through our failed school system, with a lot of electronic devices and so forth, with all the commercials where everything is like, 5 seconds, 15 seconds, 30 seconds, whatever the number is, everything is kind of like prepped to make our brains distracted. We can't hold attention for more than I don't know, 3 minutes. That's the joke. I don't know. I'm going to tell you a true story. So, anyways, when I started doing these YouTube videos a couple months back, uh, somebody told me, Bobby, you can't do the videos the way you're doing them. And I said, okay, what am I doing? What am I doing that you disagree with? Because people won't listen for more than 3 minutes when you talk about anything. You gotta cut it up. You gotta make it 3 minutes, 6 minutes, 7 minutes. You got all these minutes. Everybody's like, you gotta just play it for 6 minutes or 7 minutes. You can't go past that. And I'm sitting there thinking, that's way too much work. I don't know what 7 minutes I'm going to pick, because each of the things that I kind of tie together are tied into the other minutes. And so I'm not that smart to start chopping it up and be like, you know what, take this sound bite from this minute and then use it with this one over here. And I don't have that kind of time. And I'm not I'm not going to start making that kind of time. And so anyways, it turns out, you know, the, you know, they weren't sure if what I'm doing would work. And, it's kind of interesting, right? Because I didn't have any expectations it was going to work either. I just said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do this. It makes me feel better. I'm just going to get out there and talk about all this stuff that's on my mind and see where it takes me. And would you believe, in less than 2 months, there's almost been a million minutes watched with on YouTube of these videos, which is pretty crazy when you think about it, right? I mean, how many you guys are here right now? So that's, I guess, 55 times 40 minutes right now. We're up to, what are we up to? 2,000 minutes. I'm just saying, you guys have been watching, collectively it's 2,000 minutes. And, I think it's pretty interesting, nonetheless, but this whole concept that people don't have the bandwidth to stay watching and focused for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 7 minutes. And I was like, that's just horseshit. I'm not going to buy that. And you know what? If, my attitude was, I'm going to talk for as long as I need to cover some material. And if only 3 people are watching, I only needed my expectations. I think I told my wife what did I say? Like 3 people? I said, if I had an audience, I think of 3 people, I would stay doing this. Like, that was it. I said, three people. I just need 3 people. If 3 people would watch, I would keep cutting the videos. If I fell below 3 for like a week, I would shut them off. So that was my benchmark. It was like, you know what? I'm going to spend an hour talking about something. I just need 3 people to watch. And if 3 people watch, I'll keep talking. But anyways, I'm just kind of getting off on this whole thing because, going back to this whole story of a mustard seed and how much it can grow, going back to, us and how we can be the change that we want to see in the world through the networks of people that we know in our lives. So, try to get people from social media that we have as connections, help them see the truth. I don't want to mention his name because, I can't just yet, but I'm going to be in this movie that I went to record for in DC. And I think it's a wonderful thing. He calls me up, he texted me, and I hope he doesn't mind. I'm going to read you what he wrote. Like, this is kind of cool because this guy goes to show you the power of the change that we can all make with our own communities, our own networks, by speaking the truth to power and speaking about the change that we'd like to see in the world to make it a better place. So he said, "Hola, brother. I've been red pilling my older brother, and he's finally coming around. He's retired now, but he used to be a financial analyst, first in his own and then for the federal government. And he asked me this, thanks for this. What's the chance of getting me the raw voter data and ballots cast data? Don't need personal information, just the numbers by county and age group. Most people are leery of the 6th degree polynomial, nomial, and thinks it hides something and manipulates the data. I know that's not the case, so the raw data would help. But I can't find anything, only as current as 2018, nothing for 2020. Anyways, so this guy's brother is retired I think he's in California, and he thought all this stuff was crap, right? He thought all this stuff is just made up and everything else. And make a long story short, his brother was just kind of giving him the information, showing him the data, explaining to him what the heck is going on. And next thing you know, he's digging in. He's digging into the data. And this is happening across the country, folks, that we have people all over the place digging into the data to expose the truth of what's been happening to us. And more importantly, we need to uncover who's the one that's been pulling the strings this entire time. And I think that we're getting there, folks. We're getting there, and I think we're going to find them. And when we find them, we have to remember we need to bring them to justice, because God does want us to bring justice to people that are evil in this world. It's very clear between these readings that God wants evil to be, to be removed from this earth. That and we owe it to our children, to ourselves, to deal with all this grief. We've all suffered tremendously from these evil people. We've suffered in peace of mind. We've suffered, with regards to the way we act and treated each other. We're fighting needlessly among ourselves when it's these perpetrators of evil that are creating this situation. And so there should be very severe consequences for what they did. They tore at the fabric of our humanity as a nation, as a species worldwide. They undermined the intrinsic nature of us trusting each other, and they manipulated that trust. They betrayed it, and they weaponized the trust that we would have toward each other, even our trust in ourselves. They've caused people to second guess themselves when the truth is right in front of them. All of this manipulation is Satan's work. The individuals that are behind these crimes against humanity should most definitely be tried for treason. I couldn't agree with you more, Sheila. These people are traitors, and they are the closest thing. They're probably worse. They're more sophisticated than the Nazis were with the war crimes of what they did, and they've taken it to a whole nother level. Goebbels or whatever the hell, the gerbil, that guy with the propaganda. We have companies now worth hundreds of billions of dollars that are celebrated that know how to do propaganda far better than little Goebbels ever did. We have people that convince the American public and then other women around the world to execute their babies in a self-inflicted genocide. It's unbelievable how sophisticated these evil spirits are in causing this havoc among us as a species and as God's children. So I'm very hopeful that this justice will be brought, will be witnessed in our lifetime. I really do hope it happens. It can't happen soon enough from my perspective, and I'll be definitely celebrating when it does begin to happen, and so forth. So, so this is a good timing. So they were on the boat with Jesus. Jesus fell asleep. He's just taking a nice little nap, and then all of a sudden a storm comes. Everything is rocking, high waves breaking the boat. It began to fill with water, and Jesus was sleeping in the back of the boat, just like the champ that he is. He's like, I'm just going to take it easy here, and I'm going to relax. And Jesus is sleeping, and then, teacher, don't you care we're about to drown? And Jesus wakes up and says, silence, be still. And then suddenly the wind stopped, and there was a great calm. And then he asked, why are you so afraid? Do you still have no faith? And the disciples were absolutely terrified. Who is this man? They asked each other, even the wind and the waves obey him. And that's the thing. With God, anything is possible, and God can accomplish whatever God's ready to accomplish the moment God wants it. And all I can tell you is, if we put God's will first, if we put God's first in this nation, and if humanity and worldwide, all these nations do the same thing, and we start to adhere to the Ten Commandments, and we start to follow our U.S. Constitution again, you will see what what American greatness truly is. American greatness is living by those core principles. People ask, what's make America great all about? I remember hearing Trump say that, and I remember thinking, he's never really telling anybody what makes it great. He's just saying, let's make America great again. And I think part of that messaging, when Trump was going around saying that, frankly, there's a few things. I think part of it was he wanted people to come to the realization of what makes it great for them, and that we need to go back to our fundamental core beliefs as human beings. Intrinsically, we know all the things in the Ten Commandments, that God exists, that our U.S. Constitution is intrinsically embedded in every fiber of our being, because we are born free. We were given these rights by God, and that everything is connected. And so those core principles, anything that tries to undermine that belief structure, that system, that wisdom that's been codified, that system that's built up our society to be what it is today, those are pure evil people, folks. And we need to deal with them justly, and we need to deal with them swiftly. But this whole business of dragging the shit on indefinitely has got to stop. And I'm not sure how it's going to stop and when it's going to stop, but we need to take control of our elections as people. The American people should take control of it. It's too important to leave to politicians, and our money is too important to leave to bankers. Our money is a reflection of our energy that when we store it and we make it. We need to take control of all these systems and put people back in charge that are honest and trustworthy in every facet of our society. And so, that's just my 2 cents. So let's go to Mark 5. Let's see. Let me see. So, this was the story. This is pretty crazy, right? So this guy, Jesus goes up to this man who was possessed by a bunch of evil spirits, and he was not just possessed by one spirit; he was possessed by multiple spirits. And he said basically his name was Legion, because there's so many, kind of hold up in this guy. And then he was worried about where Jesus was going to send him. So then I guess these evil spirits, basically said, can you send us into the pigs? He sent them into like a herd of 2,000 pigs. And then those pigs were possessed by these evil spirits, and they went diving off a cliff and all drowned. And so it's interesting that those spirits would rather drown and then be sent away to wherever Jesus had in mind. And you think about that, where does Jesus send evil? Where does Jesus, when God does come in and capture or take down some of these evil spirits that we all know are around us, and witness all this, where does Jesus take them, or where does God send them? I can't help but think of that movie, Ghostbusters. Maybe we get the little rays and we get the little box, and you start packaging these folks up, these evil spirits and demons. No, I hear you, John, about hell, but I'm just kind of I'm trying to see that visual, like what is what is the mechanism to catch all these evil spirits, just like this bastard who just died in England, right? 99-year-old or whatever. Man, what a scumbag. If you look at the photo of him, he looks like a demon. You just need to look at him and see for yourself. What's that guy's name? Prince something? What was his name? Who was married to the Queen? Hold on a second, folks. Who just died? Philip, yeah. It was Prince Philip, right? I don't know what's his name? I don't know. Philip, that 99-year-old creeping death looking guy. You take a look at his photo. All you got to do is, I think I tweeted it out. This is the face of evil. I mean, man, just he even smiles like evil. I think somebody told me that what I tweeted out was accurate. I'm just going to share it with you because we're winding down here. I'm kind of early here. Hold on a second here. And then let me just show you what it is here. Hold on a second. Hold on. I haven't been tweeting too much, so it should be very quick to find this. Yeah, they ran out of Android Chrome. Yep, probably, but they still like those babies. That's the problem. And who knows how many of those aborted babies are ending up that way, which is the really sad thing. That we don't. Nobody wants to see the bodies of all these babies that are being slaughtered, and so these evil spirits keep getting away with this insanity because nobody wants to see it. So the people that support this insanity, they don't want to witness their crimes. Because they're basically co-conspirators of these crimes, and it's very sad because they don't want any of the repercussions of their actions and what they support, and it's very, very disturbing to say the least. But here this is this guy. Look at this. Okay, look at that. That is evil right there. You see that? That's Philip. Look at that guy. Does that not look like the face of evil? And I know he said something that I think I retweeted what he said. And so, I don't know where I put it, but he said something that he'd like to come back as a virus and kill off. Here it is. This is it. This is the tweet. And so I pulled this tweet. Somebody sent it. I think I shared this thing. He says, in the event that I am reincarnated, I would like to return as a deadly virus in order to contribute something to solve overpopulation. This is what he said back in 1988 in the Deutsche Press Agentur. Right? This is what this guy said. So I got a bunch of messages that was an accurate statement. Like I thought at first it was kind of like a joke. Like this guy really said this, that he wants to come back as a virus. There's no such thing. No human being is which brain cells. This is the way I'd like to discuss it, and I've said this before. It's like, can you have too many brain cells? Can any of you answer that question? Can any human being have too many brain cells? So this concept that there's too many human beings is the most insane, lunatic, lefty idea I've ever heard in my life, that you can never have too many brain cells, just like you can never have too many people. All human beings standing shoulder to shoulder, every single last one of us next to each other, would all fit in LA County, all 7 billion of us. And I don't think there's 7 billion. I think there's probably 5 billion. But my point is, if all of us can fit literally in the size of LA County, and then we got all this land around the world, and these sons of bitches are saying there's too many of us, my point to them is, you guys can go first. Just self-suicide yourself. Get the hell out of here. You guys think there's too many of us? You guys can hit the exit first. That's my 2 cents. You guys, we're not going to miss you. Don't you worry. But don't let the door hit you on the ass on the way out. But anyways, so that's what Jesus did. He got rid of this demon, these demons, these evil spirits, and the pigs. I guess, the pigs don't. I guess I was going to make a religious joke, but it's probably not appropriate. My wife just got the best of me on that one. I was going to say something about pigs. I think you guys know what I'm talking about. I just kind of pulled the ripcord on that one, folks. Anyways, so the Psalm of David, 37. The godly offer good counsel. They teach right from wrong. They have made God's law their own, so they will never slip from his path. The wicked wait in ambush for the godly, looking for an excuse to kill them, but the Lord will not let the wicked succeed. I'm hoping that this is true, folks, that all these people out there that are fighting on our behalf as a society, as a culture, that God is protecting them all. Because I got to tell you, I'm in touch with a lot of people that are putting their lives on the line, and I worry for them, and I pray for them all the time, because it's it's pretty crazy. It's it's dangerous. It's dangerous. Like some of this stuff kind of hits me a little more when I talk to people in the special forces that are advising me on things I need to do. So I'm like, I'm very grateful and appreciative that I get some really sound advice. Um, but I think that I still, I'd be kidding you if I wasn't a little concerned. But I got to do the best I can and prepare, just in case some sons of bitches come my way. I guess that's all I could say, and deal with it. But I'm not gonna shut up. I'm gonna keep fighting, and that's just the way it is. I got to do God's will. The wicked wait in ambush to kill the godly, looking for an excuse. Okay. So, but the Lord will not let the wicked succeed or let the godly be condemned when they are put on trial. Put your hope in the Lord, travel steadily along his path. He will honor you by giving you the land. You will see the wicked destroyed. I can't wait to see the wicked destroyed, folks. I've seen wicked and ruthless people flourishing like a tree in its native soil. But when I looked again, they were gone. Though I searched for them, I could not find them. Look at those who are honest and good, for a wonderful future awaits those who love peace. But the rebellious will be destroyed. They have no future. The Lord rescues the godly. He is a fortress in times of trouble. The Lord helps them, rescuing them from the wicked. He saves them, and they find shelter in them. And all I can tell you, folks, is, I'm very grateful and I'm very appreciative of all the prayers that you've sent my way, my family, other Americans have sent my way, because I can feel it, and I'm not saying that just because it sounds cute. I can feel it. I can feel it, a sensation in the back of my skull, the back of my brain. I can hear it sometimes. It's almost like. You guys ever see when you're looking out and like, when it's kind of like fall and there's a bunch of, not birds, but a bunch of like different types of bugs all flying in a pattern, and it makes a specific sound. And I don't know what that sound is, but it's kind of like this, like, they all kind of move in unison and so forth. And that's the sound I hear when I'm getting a lot of prayers thrown at me. And there's times, it doesn't happen very often, but it has happened quite a few times, where I get these prayers and I can feel them, and they get so overwhelming that I got to lay down and I got to get some sleep, or I take a quick little cat nap. So it's kind of weird when they come, or I'm not exactly sure what I said that I'm getting a blast of prayers, because I'm just kind of going about my business, doing my work like I have to do for my clients and my family, and then all of a sudden I'll just get hit out of nowhere with this stuff. And so it is much appreciated. I do find it. It does bring me peace, and it does make me a little more relaxed at times, because I guess I can be a little edgy with all the stuff that I do see and stuff, and I do think that more people are joining the fight, which is wonderful to see and to feel and to hear about, and I'm gonna keep doing everything I can to get more people to join the fight and take this country back and so forth. So, that's all I can say about that. So anyways, let's go to Proverbs 10, because then we're just going to kind of wrap it up. I just broke that 60-minute mark, folks. I'm trying to get my numbers up. I'm just kidding around. It did kind of sound funny though, right? Got to get those numbers up. Okay, we got 57 more people. Let's go another 10 minutes. We got 600 minutes. I'm just kidding. I couldn't help myself, folks. There's some people that try to do that, right? They try to move their numbers up, and I always get a kick out of that. It's like you got to just kind of go with what's right and what's fair, and just let the results happen. You shouldn't try to manufacture the results of what you're saying and stuff. Anyways, Proverbs 10. The godly are showered with blessings. The words of the wicked conceal violent intentions. The words of the wicked conceal violent intentions. I want to focus on that piece right there, because I got to tell you, when I look at what's going on with the Federal Reserve of this country, and I look at, what these people are trying to do with debasing the currency, they're trying to undermine our housing structure. I think some of this increase in manipulation that's occurring in property prices across the country, that's driving up prices and so forth. I think part of it is because they want to have an excuse to raise taxes on all of us, and then once they raise taxes very high and they shoot up interest rates, they're going to make it so it's next to impossible for us to leave, sell our homes, so to speak. They want to trap people in their homes by these economic policies that are wicked. They're wicked, violent intentions. And I'm trying to sound the alarm as best as I can, because this is serious stuff, folks. These people are declaring economic war. So now they got people coming in that want to harm us. Now they're trying to roll out this scheme that makes us feel as though things are great, but they're not. They're making us temporarily feel better if we own a house. The value is going up, but they're not telling you their real intention. If you live in a house and you're going to live there for 10, 20 years and you're not going anywhere, and the government, these corrupt sons of bitches, want to increase tax revenue, who's to say they don't manipulate the price of the houses up, that then they can double your taxes even though your income didn't go up, and then they can try to get you to sell the property or kick you out, so to speak. And this is what's happening now, and nobody is explaining it anywhere. And this is what's very I'm very upset about it, and I'm trying to think through. Man, I need a war room, folks. I'm sitting there, I keep thinking about this stuff. I'm like, I see all these problems on real estate. I'm seeing stuff on the border that's a problem. I'm getting stuff that I'm finding out about the educational system. I'm getting calls on the voting stuff. It's like it's the craziest thing. I'm just like literally getting pelted from every direction about things I need to help work on and help solve. I've talked to my wife about it today, and as I'm listening to this wicked stuff, and I think I'm getting to the point where I started looking at some office space, and I'm looking at some office space that maybe I try to hire a couple people, like 2 or 3 people that are gathering the information that I need, returning phone calls, mobilizing people across the country, and have them right next door to my office, so that I'm doing my work. I just come up with a war plan every day. It's like boom, boom, boom. This is what we need to do. Here's the call list. This is what we need to get done in this state. This is what's going on here. But maybe part of it will be them doing that, and then they're calling people across the state of what they need to do, because people don't know what they need to do. And so maybe that's the way I do it. So I'm trying to think about, that's pretty disturbing. Corporations are buying up homes, squeezing out the folks. That's a whole nother issue, folks. Shit. Yeah. Well, you guys are starting to see it. I saw it in Arizona with regards to the housing and what they're doing. And they're trying to manipulate the housing market, and they're trying to put in a bunch of people living in rental properties that they'll give them subsidized rent so that they'll vote a specific way. That's exactly what's starting to happen. So, Holly, you're spot on that. That is definitely happening. So anyways, let's finish the last little phrase and then we'll call it. We have happy memories of the godly, but the name of a wicked person rots away. We can only hope, right? We can only hope. I think that's wonderful, Dallas, that you got your acreage to build your forever home. I don't think it was a mistake. I think you need to. I think people that can get some raw land and protect themselves and their family is probably not such a bad idea. I think there is strength in numbers. So if you have extended family or friends who can live close to you, I think it's important for the foreseeable future. We need to mobilize better as communities on a grassroots level, and we need to literally start to think. Uh, um, you know, we need to think about this stuff in terms of organizing, um, organizing in a way to protect ourselves from evil should it show up, but then also take control of the processes that prevent that evil from, landing in our area and so forth. So, anyways, that's it, folks. It's been a crazy. Today was a crazy little session. I hope I didn't get off on a tangent too much, but we sure have our work cut out for us. We do. And so hopefully this is helping. I think it definitely helps me stay grounded, and it makes me stay focused on, what we need to do to take this country back. And, and we just have to take it one day at a time, one prayer at a time. You don't say a whole rosary in one minute. And we're not going to get this solved by trying to solve it all in one day. And so I think that we just all need to keep doing our part, and I think we will ultimately get there and prevail. So thank you all for joining me this evening. May God bless you. God bless your family and friends, and may God continue to bless the greatest nation in the history of the world. And may peace be with you. And I do know that if we put God first and start caring for each other again, and start looking past our differences and unite behind our right to worship our God, to live freely, and to create the life that we want for our children, that we will have the peace that we once had in this country that seems to have left us temporarily. But it's going to take a lot of work. So with that, I hope everybody has a wonderful evening, and God bless.